So I've been tagged in this story a pretty good bit. And I knew there was missing context, is why I refused to comment on it or talk about it. And that is, and that, sorry, I was reading the text. And that is why I waited until more details came out. And the way this was being presented to me is it was a hate crime and 4 white guys lynched innocent or mentally disabled black man down in Natchez. And I'm like, man, there's more to this story. The video only showed you like the worst 10 seconds. And I'm not defending what the guys did. I think that what they did was terrible. I mean, to me, there's no excuse ever for 4 people to jump on one unless, yeah, there is a but, unless that person has a weapon and they feel like they can disarm him 4-on-1. So I will say that is a big but. But if that's if that's the path they want to take, then so be it. But that's also taking into consideration that they didn't start the fight with the guy. But you do see that sometimes. I mean, I've been in the bar business for a long time. You would see one random dude try to start something with 4 or 5 people. It does happen. It does happen. And when he gets his comeuppance, you really don't feel sorry for him. Now, I don't know what happened here. I don't know what led to this. We still don't know. But you got 4 white guys and a black guy on a bridge down in Adams County fighting. The black guy leaves, gets on his bicycle, leaves, goes to the house, gets a gun, and is heading back and runs across these people on what I assume is another bridge. And I'm telling you, I'm setting this up before I play the video because it's kind of confusing. We had to watch the video last night. Then I had to read the story, and then we had to discuss it to completely wrap our heads around. And I wasn't the only one that was confused. Everybody was confused on this thing. So I think I've got the best version of events here after thinking about this and reading it multiple times. So the black guy they get in the confrontation. They don't beat him, but they have a physical confrontation. He's okay enough to drive to ride his bike off. Of course, easy for me to say I didn't get jumped by 4 guys. But he rides his bike off, gets the gun, and is coming back. And see, and that's where he effed up. He should have stayed his butt at home. But he goes to get his gun and come back, and they run across each other somewhere else. I don't know what happened. Don't know if he saw them and stopped and tried to start a fight with them, or if they saw him and stopped him and tried to start another fight with him. Don't know the details. What I do know is they got into an altercation. He shot one of the guys in the chest. That guy has to be medevaced to a hospital. The black guy that initially got jumped but went back and got the gun, goes to jail. Now, he has since been released. I don't know if charges cleared or what. OR'd on his own recognizance, bonded out, whatever. It wasn't very clear about it. And a couple of the white guys have been charged with aggravated assault and attempted aggravated assault, as well as, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling down here. I want to make sure I get this correct here. Aggravated assault and conspiracy to commit aggravated assault. They got a 21-year-old guy by the name of Houston Lee Pretty. You couldn't have a better name for this. And then they also got a 16-year-old. So in the video, it appears that it looks like 4 guys jumping in, but they're only charging 2. And the guy that got shot doesn't have charges pressed on him. So this is a really wonky story. It's titled "Series of Altercations Ends with Man Being Shot and Airlifted in Adams County." The way the story was presented to me is it's 4 white guys caught on video beating alleged mentally disabled black man. So now that I've set it up for you and you got an idea of what's going on, I'm going to play the video and hear the WLBT version of events here. and see what you all think. Give me just a second to clean the screen up here and get this pulled up and see if they can make it make a little more sense for us here, which usually not the case. Almost there. All right, here we go. This is WLBT talking about this event. And we're talking about this because it's going to get this is going to go national. Y'all are getting on the front end of this right now. This is going to get Ben Crump involved and all those types. This is going to turn into a race deal. And I'm bracing y'all for it. You need to go watch this. You need to learn about it. If you're going to talk about it, you need to have a full understanding of what's about to hit here. Brace for impact, but be knowledgeable about the situation so you don't get caught looking like an idiot regardless of what side you're on.
Developing tonight, Adams County deputies continue to investigate a series of fights over the weekend.
One of those incidents led to one person being shot and another arrested. Houston is the latest person charged in the case and conspiracy. 3 on your sides, Chris Field joins us now to tell you what led to the chaos. Chris.
County Sheriff says everything stemmed from a man occasionally riding his bike to being assaulted by a group of individuals. And get this, it was all caught on video. He says it's an attack no one should ever have to endure or witness.
It's one of the most heinous things that you see, because if you watch video, it'll make the average person who has any kind of compassion in their heart get emotional.
Sheriff Travis Patten admits it was painful for him to watch what appears to be a brutal attack on someone he says was only trying to enjoy an evening of bicycling. Now here's video of that assault that many of you saw on social media on a black man who is now identified as Reginald Butler. Was attacked by a group of people near a bridge on Deerfield Road Friday.
You know, this guy was riding his bike down the street, and they stopped him and asked for a cigarette, which turned into asking him to fight, calling him all kinds of names.
Sheriff Patten says later that night, Butler returned.
I got to pause this for just a second before we see the fight part here. So he says that he stopped and asked them for a cigarette, and that led to a fight. I'm just going to be honest here. I got a hard time believing that him asking for a cigarette simply led to them jumping him. Let's
now here's video of that assault that many of you saw on social media.
Okay, so I missed that part last night. I know if
only trying to enjoy an evening.
I know if you're listening on radio, you can't see this video, but I'm bumping it back just a little bit here because I'm seeing some stuff that I didn't see the first time last night. Let me set it back here.
See, because if you watch this video, it'll make the average person who has any kind of compassion in their heart get emotional.
Sheriff Travis Patten admits it was painful for him to watch what appears to be a brutal attack on someone he says was only trying to enjoy an evening of bicycling. Now here's video of that assault.
That's the first time I've seen him get knocked down off the bike. And I'm just curious on this camera footage, is that where they started at? Or is there more camera footage that led up to this? Because it appears to have already been in place and filming. I would just like to see the front end of this footage. And I'm going to let it finish off, and I'm not going to say another word the rest of the video, then I'll come back and unpack. I apologize. This is just what I do.
That many of you saw on social media on a black man who is now identified as Reginald Butler. Butler was attacked by a group of people near a bridge on Deerfield Road Friday.
You know, this guy was riding his bike down the street, and they stopped him and asked for a cigarette, which turned into asking him to fight, calling him all kinds of names.
Sheriff Patten says later that night, Butler returned to that area near the bridge where 2 separate incidents occurred.
Reginald Butler went home for a while, and what he did was he retrieved a weapon before coming back from his residence. He did not return to the original scene of the crime, which we learned later on, but he did get back on his bike and began to ride towards another bridge on Deerfield Road.
This when Patten says Butler was assaulted yet again.
Things escalated between him and this individual. That individual ended up assaulting Reginald Butler as well. When there was a break in the altercation to where the other individual was no longer assaulting Reginald, he was then shot. Reginald pulled a weapon and shot that individual one time, and after firing multiple rounds at this individual.
Both Butler and the shooting victim, Cameron Taunton, who we now know was involved in the initial assault, were arrested. He's charged with aggravated assault and 1 count of conspiracy to commit aggravated assault. Butler has since bonded out of jail.
That was a very emotional thing for this entire community.
Okay, so Butler bonded out of jail. I missed that last night. That's how he got out.
You could see the pain and the anger and the frustration throughout this community, and that's why we work diligently with our state and federal partners on this case to make the arrest that we made and to be transparent as possible in this case.
Now, the sheriff says they have also reached out to MBI and the FBI about this incident to determine whether or not this is a hate crime.
So they're going to be lucky if they don't get charged with a hate crime. We'll see. I didn't ever see where they said what the black guy that got charged with, because if he's the victim, what did he get arrested for? What is he being charged with? This is just my 30,000 foot view here. It feels like they're trying to figure out a way to let him off of this and pin this solidly on the white guys for starting it. But you don't get to, if you're the victim in self-defense, you don't get yourself out of the situation, go get a gun and come back. That does not work for self-defense. Sean explains this really, really well from a legal perspective. But what we don't know, now he is allowed to get back on his bike and ride wherever the hell he wants to go. And he is allowed to say, you know what, in case that happens again, I want to make sure I have my gun on me. He's well within his rights to do that. Now, should he have just stayed home? Probably so. Absolutely. I don't even think it's probably. But constitutionally, does he have the right to get his gun and get back on his bike and pedal wherever the heck he wants to? 100%. The second altercation is what I'm more concerned about. What started that? Who started that? Who got shot? What was their involvement? Were they the intended person? Were they an innocent bystander who was with the person who had started it? There's a lot of moving parts here, but if this was the Biden administration, DOJ, I would 100% say that these boys, just because you can't be white and assault a black man, it doesn't matter how provoked you were. If you come out on the upper hand of that situation, you're going to get charged with a hate crime. If this is the Biden administration, if this is the Democrat administration, you just got to be cognizant of that, especially if it's more than one of y'all. Fine line. We got to define what's hate. When they were calling them names, were they calling them the N-word? Was it race-based? What were they all doing there at that bridge in their bathing suits? Is there like a sandbar up under there? Why is all this happening on a bridge? Like there's got lots of questions here. Let's take a break. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show.